Καλημέρα σας. Καλημέρα σε όλους. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ που βρίσκεστε μαζί μας σήμερα. Είμαι η Μαρία Χριστίνα Χιμονίδη και εκ μέρους του Δικτύου ΠΡΑΞΗ Εθνικού Σημείου Επαφής για το Ευρωπαϊκό Συμβούλιο Καινοτομίας ή αλλιώς European Innovation Council από το πρόγραμμα πλαίσιο Horizon Europe στην Ελλάδα. Σας καλωσορίζω με μεγάλη χαρά στο διαδικτυακό μας σεμινάριο για τα EIC Pathfinder Challenges για το 2026. Να πούμε κάποια πραγματάκια για τη σημερινή μας μικρή ημερίδα. Θα μπορείτε να υποβάλλετε όλες σας τις ερωτήσεις προς τους ομιλητές καθ' όλη τη διάρκεια της εκδήλωσης στο τμήμα του Q&A. Οι ερωτήσεις θα αποδειθούν στο τέλος των παρουσιάσεων. Τα μικρόφωνα όλων λοιπόν θα παραμείνουν κλειστά, ενώ και τη συγκεκριμένη εκδήλωση δεν θα δοθούν βεβαιώσεις παρακολούθησης. Οι συμμετέχοντες θα έχουν την ευκαιρία να αποκομίσουν γενικές πληροφορίες σε πρώτη φάση για τα EIC Pathfinder Challenges, ενώ στη συνέχεια θα ακολουθήσουν αναλυτικές παρουσιάσεις για το κάθε Pathfinder Challenge ξεχωριστά. Επίσης, θα έχουν την ευκαιρία να θέσουν απευθείας τα ερωτήματά τους στους εμπειρογνώμονες του Ευρωπαϊκού Εκτελεστικού Οργανισμού για το Ευρωπαϊκό Συμβούλιο Καινοτομίας και τις μικρομεσαίες επιχειρήσεις ή αλλιώς EISMEA, ενώ επίσης θα ακούσουν και καλές πρακτικές από EIC Pathfinder Challenges grantees. Η εκδήλωση απευθύνεται σε νομικά πρόσωπα, ερευνητικά και ακαδημαϊκά ιδρύματα επιχειρήσεις, καθώς και σε όλους τους εμπλεκόμενους του συστήματος έρευνας και καινοτομίας. Ελπίζω η σημερινή ημερίδα να σας φανεί χρήσιμη και να μπορέσει να συμβάλλει στην υποβολή πρότασης από πλευρά σας και δει στην επιτυχημένη. Ας ξεκινήσουμε όμως με τον χαιρετισμό της εκδήλωσης από τον Δ. Κωνσταντίνο Βαβέκη, τεχνικό προϊστάμενο του Δικτύου ΠΡΑΞΗ. Κώστα, καλημέρα.
Καλημέρα. Θα μιλήσω στα αγγλικά επειδή έχουμε προσκαλισμένους από το εξωτερικό. Thank you again. Dear participants, it is great pleasure that I welcome you to today's information seminar on the EIC Pathfinder Challenges 2026. This is an important initiative of the European Innovation Council, supporting cutting-edge research and promoting collaboration among scientists, research organizations, and businesses across Europe. This year's challenges, ranging from advanced materials and sustainable energy biotechnology for healthy aging and cognitive artificial intelligence systems, reflect some of the major challenge opportunities of our time. This initiative creates the conditions for radical technological innovation with real social and economic impact, which is what we're interested in. I hope that today's events will serve as a source of inspiration and encouragement for all participants who are interested in submitting proposals to one of the most forward-looking funding schemes under Horizon Europe. So, please use us. We can help. We are here to support you in order to submit proposals. So, as we are the National Support Hub for Innovation and for the participation of Greek organizations in competitive European programs, we are here to support you. Drawing on our long-standing experience, we have many years of experience as national contact points. We provide specialized information, advisory services, and guidance, and we can help you strengthen your capacity to prepare and submit competitive proposals under the EIC Pathfinder. Also, at the same time, we are particularly pleased that as we are PRAXΗ Network 4, we act as a bridge between the Greek research and the business community with the European innovation ecosystem. So, with this role, we promote high added value collaborations and support the dissemination of knowledge and research results. So, this is one role that we have. We try to disseminate the outcome of your research and how this will give more social and economic impact. Finally, I would like to warmly thank Ms. Eleni Hadjigianni and Mr. Andreas Liberis from EISMEA for their participation today and for the time they have kindly dedicated to us. I would also like to thank the program managers of the challenges, Dr. Paolo Pondavalli, Program Manager for the Advanced Materials Challenge, Dr. Orsolia Simons, Program Manager for Biotechnology for Helping Agents, and Dr. Hedy Carey, Program Manager for Deep RAP Trustworthy Cognitive AI Systems, for their valuable contribution and their willingness to support the Greek innovation ecosystem. Of course, I would like to address my sincere thanks to Dr. Konstantinos Ortakis for joining us today to share his successful experience with you, to the PRAXΗ and also the PRAXΗ Network 4 team organizing, to Christina, to other members who have organized today's event, and of course, to all of you for dedicating your valuable time to be here with us. I wish you all a productive and inspiring seminar. Thank you. And have a good day. Bye.
Κώστα, σε ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ. Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ για το χρόνο που μας διέθεσες σήμερα και κατάφερες να κάνεις και ένα σύντομο χαιρετισμό. Οπότε μπορούμε νομίζω τώρα να ξεκινήσουμε, να κάνω μια μικρή περιγραφή της σημερινής ατζέντας. Στο πρώτο κομμάτι έχουμε λοιπόν τους εκλεκτούς εκπροσώπους από την EISMEA, την κυρία Ελένη Χατζηγιάννη και τον κύριο Ανδρέα Λιμπέρη, οι οποίοι θα παρουσιάσουν το γενικό μέρος για τα EIC Pathfinder Challenges, περίπου μέχρι τις 10:35. Φυσικά υπάρχει flexibility, δεν υπάρχει κανένα θέμα. Στη συνέχεια θα έχουμε τους program managers από τα challenges, την Dr. Ορσόλια Σίμονς, τον Dr. Πάολο Μπονταβάλη και τον Dr. Χέντι Καρέι, που θα πάρουν το λόγο για να αναλύσουν τα challenges ξεχωριστά ο καθένας για περίπου 10 λεπτά. Ενώ στη συνέχεια θα ακολουθήσουν οι ερωτήσεις από το κοινό. Μετά στη συνέχεια έχει η σειρά ο Δόκτωρ Κωνσταντίνος Ρογδάκης, επίκουρος καθηγητής από το Ελληνικό Μεσογειακό Πανεπιστήμιο, ο οποίος θα μας μιλήσει για τη δική του εμπειρία ως συντονιστής στο έργο Elegance, είναι EIC Pathfinder Challenge έργο, ενώ στο τελευταίο μέρος θα παρουσιαστούν οι υπηρεσίες που προσφέρονται στους δυνητικούς συμμετέχοντες από τα Εθνικά Σημεία Επαφής του Δικτύου ΠΡΑΞΗ. Ας ξεκινήσουμε λοιπόν σε πρώτη φάση, πριν μπούμε στις παρουσιάσεις, με κάποια polls, προκειμένου να δούμε το κοινό που έχουμε. We will start now sharing some polls to see what sort of audience we have today with us. Οπότε σας παρακαλώ αν μπορείτε να να συμμετάσχετε στο poll μας. Θέλουμε να δούμε εάν έχουμε ερευνητικά Ινστιτούτα, αν έχουμε πανεπιστήμια, αν έχουμε επιχειρήσεις, για ποιο challenge ενδιαφέρονται σήμερα οι συμμετέχοντες του σεμιναρίου. Ας δούμε λοιπόν τώρα τα αποτελέσματα του poll. Έχουμε συγκεντρώσει το 75% των συμμετεχόντων. Για ποιο challenge ενδιαφέρεστε? Βλέπουμε ότι το 38% των συμμετεχόντων ενδιαφέρονται για το challenge DPRAP. So we see that 38% of the participants today are interested for the DPRAP challenge, Pathfinder Challenge. Ενδιαφέρεστε να υποβάλλετε ως πανεπιστήμιο, ερευνητικό ίδρυμα, εταιρεία ή άλλο? Βλέπουμε ότι το 44% των συμμετεχόντων προέρχονται από κάποιο πανεπιστημιακό φορέα. So, are you interested to apply as a university, as a research foundation, as a company or other? We see that 44% of the participants are coming from a university. Και τελευταία ερώτηση, αν έχετε υποβάλει ξανά στο παρελθόν σε κάποια από τα χρηματοδοτικά εργαλεία του EIC. Βλέπουμε ότι το 75% δεν έχει ξαναυποβάλει. Have you applied in the past in one of the EIC funding instruments? 75% said that they haven't applied before. So let's hope that today we really inspire them. Ωραία, ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Οπότε νομίζω τώρα μπορούμε να προχωρήσουμε στην παρουσίαση των εμπειρογνωμών, τον κύριο Χατζηγιάννη και τον κύριο Ανδρέα Λιμπέρη. Το λόγο σε εσάς.
Καλημέρα και από εμένα. Good morning. We speak in English, of course. It's much more useful for also those who are going to submit a proposal. I'm going to share my presentation. Our presentation, let's say. I'm going to present the first part, and Eleni Hazigiani will follow with the submission and the selection process. Let me maximize the presentation. Okay, Maria is okay. Everybody can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, so yeah, I'm Andreas Liberis, head of sector in the challenge-based Pathfinder. Eleni will present the submission evaluation. She's one of the two co-coordinators of Pathfinder Challenge 2026. What is the EIC, European Innovation Council? As you can see, it is the third pillar of Horizon Europe Framework Program, European Framework Program. It is a very important program that started as a pilot in Horizon 2020 and will be stronger and reinforced in the next framework program starting in 2028. Why the EIC came into the European, let's say, picture of research, development, and innovation to strengthen Europe's global competitiveness. And there is a lot behind the EIC on competitiveness. For example, investment is part of the program to bridge the gap from research to scale up. As you will see, Pathfinder is the first step from research going to the accelerator for scale up to address market failures in breakthrough innovation, such as lack of available investment in Europe, and to provide a coherent end-to-end EU support framework. I will explain all this more in detail. So a lot of text just to say that it is a 10 billion budget program from 21 to 27. One can consider to enter in this program at all TRL, so technology readiness level, from Pathfinder to accelerator. The program has a bottom-up, so open calls, so any topic is eligible, but also top-down challenges. This is what we are going to talk about today, about challenges. The EIC, the European Innovation Council program, is steered by independent EIC board, including entrepreneurs, investors, researchers, etc. Very important part is the challenge portfolios are overseen by program managers, as we have today our three colleagues to explain their challenge, but behind these challenges, there is a proactive management of projects and portfolios, creation, and let's say, management. Partnerships to enhance the European innovation ecosystem. There is also smart money, as we call, which accompanies the projects, which is provided under business acceleration services, plug-in from other national programs, from EIT, ERC, Seal of Excellence. There are other projects that contribute to the EIC, like the ERC, the European Research Council, and the proof of concept projects that can enter, for example, in the transition part. And of course, one very important part of the EIC is the EIC fund to invest to EIC selected companies and syndicate and crowd in private VCs. Now we have entered since last year the STEP, Strategic Technologies for Europe platform, in the program to invest in higher investment rounds, and also the forthcoming launch of a new Scale Up Europe fund, which is targeting 5 billion euros to invest in fast-growing late-stage European companies on market terms. So you see, it's a very big package, and Pathfinder is just one of these, let's say, package. This is the metro line. I think is a nice presentation of the whole program, starting from the EIC Pathfinder early stage visionary research, going up to transition, EIC pre-accelerator to prepare early stage deep tech startups for the widening countries. I skipped EIC Advanced Innovation Challenges. This is something new this year. It is a pilot to see how this kind of challenges inspired by DARPA can bring additional innovation into the program. And going up to the metro line is the EIC Accelerator, Startups and SMEs Scale Disruptive Information. EIC STEP I mentioned, which is something on the top of EIC Accelerator to provide larger equity investments, and at the end of this metro line, we see the business acceleration services, which provide support to the EIC beneficiaries, like coaching, expertise, investor access, partnerships, market opportunities, which has a very important added value. Some figures from the EIC impact so far in the program, leverage for every Europe 3.5 euros invested by the EIC fund, 12 equity rounds above 100 million euros, 3 unicorns companies created in the EIC portfolio, more than 800 startups and SMEs supported, 6.5 billion euros allocated to European most ambitious innovators, and 350 investments through the EIC fund. All this program so far, and it is only after 5-6 years, has contributed to increase investment cross borders deals, employment growth, and revenue growth. You see it on the right side of the slide. So it has started providing already impact and feedback. The EIC portfolio project, let's say, screenshot or snapshot is the country and program. You see the countries and how many projects they have in the accelerator, red, purple, Pathfinder, and black transition. Country and program and sector, medical technologies, biotech and medtech are the most popular, quantum, AI, health, biotech, energy, advanced materials, etc. down the graph. And here is about widening countries. Greece is one of the widening countries we call widening countries, countries that have low participation in the program. Greece is performing quite well in Pathfinder, 21 projects, very badly in the accelerator, and quite well in the transition part. Again, the same split per sector here. So what is Pathfinder? To fund research, to develop scientific base to underpin breakthrough technologies, to support early stage of scientific, technological, or deep tech R&D, and to build on new cutting-edge directions in science and technology to disrupt a field and a market or create new opportunities, to realize innovative technological solutions, to identify, develop, and scale up breakthrough technologies and disruptive innovations in Europe. We'll see a little bit more in practice what all this means with some examples, and Eleni also will go through the selection process as well. So these are three of the examples and successful stories of Pathfinder projects. ANML, turning dirty water into clean hydrogen, is part of this is the Green Hydrogen Challenge portfolio, 9 projects there. Flexiform, turning smart materials into flexible manufacturing solutions. This is a project from 2023. And Desire for EU, which is a sustainable circular printed circuit board manufactured in Europe using bio-based and biodegradable materials. Pathfinder challenges: to support breakthrough innovation, research and innovation, as we mentioned, in strategic areas. It's a top-down, so there are topics that have been already defined by the program managers. Aim to overcome specific technological bottlenecks and accelerate impact. Targets technological readiness level from 1 to 4 with a deep, clearer pathway towards application, and may allow smaller consortia or single beneficiaries, Eleni will explain, depending on the specific topic. 96 million for the 3 challenges, and grants per project up to 4 million euros, but can be higher if very well justified. Applications will close 28th of October. This Pathfinder challenge is different from the Open Pathfinder because it targets to establish a portfolio of projects for a challenge, to explore different perspectives, competing approaches, or complementary aspects. Program managers will explain more in detail. To proactively steer, the program manager will proactively steer this portfolio, and the expected outcomes are defined in the respective challenge guide. You have all access to challenge guide and all the documents concerning this call. Expected outcomes. You can read, I'm not going to read everything because it will take a lot of time. So top-level scientific applications, but also intellectual property, also contributing to relevant aspects concerning regulation, certification, standardization. Projects, of course, are expected to become key actors and become future leaders in their fields worldwide. But also, we encourage particularly to empower female researchers and achieve gender balance among the work package leaders. What support you will give if your project is funded? A grant for R&I, Research and Innovation Action. As I mentioned, 4 million euros funded 100% on the eligible costs. The eligible costs will take the form of a lump sum, and the amount will be determined during the evaluation process based on the project proposal. Lump sum means that the estimated effort and let's say expenditure will be given in the proposal per work package. So you will have to say how much a work package will cost you, and this will be evaluated. Successful applicants will receive tailor-made access to a wide range of business acceleration services, as I mentioned earlier, and interaction with the EIC program managers and other actions in the portfolio of projects selected. Just to give a picture of the previous Pathfinder Challenge 2025, we have received 647 proposals, selected applications, successful applications, 118 million total EU contribution, 3,765 participants. The projects we have selected are 30 out of 647. The average EU grant is 3.9 million, and 33 countries participate in these 30 selected projects out of 647. The challenges in 2026, you have here a picture of all challenges of the program. From the bottom, you have the prices, follow on investments, public procurements, experts, etc., 122 million. Going up, we have the scale-up call, which is 300 million per year, by the way, started last year. Accelerator, we see 634, the open accelerator and the challenge accelerator. In accelerator, there are 5 challenges. Going up, we have the advanced innovation challenges, the 2 that I mentioned in the beginning. The first stage in 2026, it is for 6 million euros. There will be a second stage in 2024. Transition, there are no challenges. It is only open, 100 million euros. And the Pathfinder on the top, 262 millions. One part is for the open, 166. And the other is for the 3 challenges, 96 million euros, as I mentioned. Here we can see it more clearly. Advanced materials for miniaturized energy harvesting. Paolo Bondavalli is the program manager. Biotechnology for healthy aging, Osoya Simons. And the deep wrap is Hedy Carey, the program manager. Opening date 22 of July of this call and closing 28 of October. Single stage submission. And now I pass the floor to Eleni for the submission and selection process. Eleni, I can move on the slides.
Thank you very much, Andreas, and many thanks also to Praxis Network for the opportunity today to present all these elements to the potential applicants. I will share my screen so I can be facilitated.
So
yes, please. Thank you very much, Andreas. So a few seconds so I can share it. May I ask you to confirm that you can see my screen?
We can see now that you have started screen sharing, Eleni.
Okay.
Now we
yes,
see,
that's good.
Yes. Okay.
If you can just sort of maximize the page.
It's already maximized. It's maybe if I try here, no. This is already maximized. Maybe if I can put it a bit larger, like that, because it's I'm sharing the PDF.
Okay.
Maybe now it's better.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So, as Andreas mentioned, we will pass now to more practical elements, which we believe that they are very, very useful and interesting at this point for the potential applicants to know. And I'm sure that all of you, the first thing that you would like to know is if you can apply. So here you can see the eligibility in terms of the composition of potential consortia, or also the fact that even if you are a single legal entity, you can also apply for this particular call of EIC Pathfinder challenges. So single legal entities which are established in member states or in associate countries, but not mid-caps or larger companies, can apply as a single, let's say, beneficiary. Also, consortia with two entities, but from two independent, let's say, legal entities from two different member states or associate countries can also apply. And also consortia with more beneficiaries, but in that case, they must include as beneficiaries at least 3 legal entities, independent from each other, and each established in a different country, as it shows below. So at least 1 legal entity established in a member state, and at least 2 other independent legal entities established in different member states or associate countries. Regarding the type of the legal entities, they can be universities, research organizations, small and medium enterprises, startups, industrial partners, or even natural persons. Just a note here regarding the associate countries. You may know which countries are the associate. If not, you can find this information and a lot of other information that we'll present you later in the funding participants portal, but of course we can also share with you details in the Q&A session. Now, how to apply? What is the process and how long this will take until the time that you will receive the grant agreement if your proposal is successful? First of all, you should submit your application via the funding and tender opportunities portal, of course, before the given deadline, and this is the only way that you can submit your proposal. Regarding the time to inform, you will be informed about the outcome of the evaluation within 5 months from the call deadline. And if your proposal is lucky and will be selected for funding, you can expect then the grant agreement to be signed by 8 months after the call deadlines. Now, speaking of deadlines, as Andreas also mentioned earlier, the call will be open in 22 of July, in a few days, and it will be open with a deadline for you to submit your proposal until 28th of October 2026 at 5 o'clock at the afternoon Central European Time. For your information, the call is already published, so you can see, if you go to Funding and Tender Opportunities portal, you can see the content of the call for the 3 different challenges, but as we said, it's not open yet. You have to wait until the 22nd of July. Now, how you will prepare your proposal? You have to prepare an application form which is composed of 2 discrete parts. First of all, the part A, which needs to be filled online and for which there is no page limit. In this part A, you have to include all the administrative details, the summarized budget in the table, and respond to specific questions which are included in this, let's say, part of the proposal online as are defined by the call. Then there is also the part B, the more detailed part, which should be uploaded as a single document that you will prepare with a page limit of maximum 30 pages of A4 size. That particular part contains all the detailed technical description of the project that you want to present and to submit to be evaluated by the experts. Apart from that, you should prepare your budget, your estimated budget according to your needs and your foreseen activities described in your proposal, which budget should be described in a detailed budget table, which will be used as a basis for justifying and fixing the lump sum amount. There's a specific template for that, which is available in the Funding and Tender Opportunities portal, which I mentioned earlier, which is the single point where you should submit your proposal. Now, let's have a look in a few words, because as you can understand, there are plenty of details here, but we do not have the time to present everything today. But let's have a look on the overall, let's say, process on how your proposal will be evaluated. We have two steps. After the submission, and of course, after the deadline of the call, we have first the first step of assessments, which is assessment of each proposal separately. So your proposal will be assessed by the experts separately. And then we will have as a second step, we should follow the portfolio considerations. After that, which all constitutes a process of evaluation procedure by independent experts, very experienced to the topic, and very also experienced to Pathfinder evaluations, then you will receive your feedback regarding the outcome of the evaluation and of the assessment of this proposal in two steps which I referred to. Let's have a look to more detailed process of the two different steps. So regarding the first step, which is the assessment of each proposal separately, there will be at least 3 European Innovation Council expert evaluators, which will evaluate and score each proposal individually with respect to particular award criteria, which you can see in the second sentence, and are the excellence, the impact, and the quality and efficiency of the implementation of the action. After the individual evaluation, these evaluators should go to a consensus, and for that reason, they will get together in a consensus group to agree on a common position, on their comments, and on the scores that they will give for your proposal. And then evaluation committee, which is composed by European Innovation Council expert evaluation and the European Innovation Council program managers, will discuss and will meet to check the consistency across the evaluation of each individual proposal and finalize the scores and the comments that the experts have given for all the proposals which are being evaluated. This is the first step of the process. Let's go to the second one. The second step of the evaluation process is what we call portfolio considerations. And this is because all the proposals that meet the threshold, this is a necessary, let's say, requirement, all the proposals that meet the thresholds defined in the award criteria should consider the second step regarding the portfolio considerations. What we do in the second step? First of all, there will be a mapping of proposals in categories stemming from overall goal and from the specific objectives which are described in each challenge. Meaning, for example, let's have a few examples: building blocks or subsystems, technical areas, or competing technologies, or application areas, or risk level and stage of technology readiness level, etc. So there will be this initial mapping of proposals and categories, and then a suitable portfolio of proposals to be selected by evaluation committee by applying portfolio considerations in order to propose for funding a coherent set of projects that will achieve expected outcomes and impacts of the challenge. And they can be, they have the potential to maximize their impact. I'm referring to the projects. The program managers later can give you more details on that because they are also in charge of this particular, let's say, process. Further information and details about all these categories, the portfolio considerations, and how this process is going to take place are described in many details in the challenges guide that we recommend you to also consult before preparing and before submitting your proposal. You can find the information there for the topics, for the domain, for the specific domains and all the other elements that you need to know. Just for you to know also that the evaluation committee have the power also to propose minor adjustments to the proposals that they will evaluate. This is more or less, let's say, in a few words, the steps that we follow for the evaluation. It's always good for us, but also for the applicants in order to, let's say, improve the process, to take into considerations the lessons learned from the previous evaluation. And here it's also important for you to know that apart from the experts and the program managers and the call coordinator and all the project officers that they will contribute to the evaluation, it's important for you to know also that we have an independent observer, which also follows and observes all the process of the evaluation. So let me also share with you here a couple of points, as we call them, lessons learned from the previous challenge. It is a complex task. It's a complex task requiring a lot of dedication and a very well organized process, which is should be managed in a very thorough way by the call coordination. It is also a top quality evaluation process, adhering fully to the principles of the impartiality, of the objectivity, of the accuracy, and also of the consistency, of the confidentiality, but also in terms of respecting the set timeline of the work program 2025. I remind you that this is referring to the call of last year. It's also good to know that there was a high efficiency of the experts' work, individual evaluations, consensus discussions, meetings they had, the cross-reading tasks, the panel meetings, and this is secured by defining the deliverables, milestones, and deadline of each activity. The selection of experts, be sure that we select the best experts and we try to offer them very, very good training, which are very significant in terms of how they are in a position to follow very well and in a very efficient way all the evaluation process. And the strongest and possible emphasis is put on assessing the proposal's relevance to the challenge, because we refer here to the Pathfinder challenge score. So we should ensure that the objectives of each challenge, the requirements of each challenge, and the expected outcome of the proposals should be reflected also in the proposal's assessment and in the scores that each proposal will receive. And last but not least, the challenge guide. It is strongly recommended for you that you consult, that you read the challenge guide, which is very, very important for the portfolio considerations, which is a very important part of the evaluation process. So, a few statistics here. You can have a look from 2021 to 2025, a few figures regarding the eligible proposals that were received, the funded proposals, the EU contribution and the success rate, which is low, but that means that very high quality is a significant element of the proposals that we receive. Very good proposals, very high scores, which means that the competition is very, very high. And last slide, these important links where you can find a lot of information. As you know, we had info days in the past. The general info day on 13th of November of 2025, but also the Pathfinder Challenges info day last March. So there you can find the recordings, the presentations, the answers to the questions that the participants raised. You find most of the information that you need there. I would say all, but again, we are always, let's say, available to answer to any question. And of course, visit our website where you can see a lot of updates, our page on LinkedIn, and of course, your national contact point, in this case for Greece, ΠΡΑΞΗς, which are very, let's say, well updated and know what exactly information to provide you and any kind of additional details that you may need preparing your proposal. So thank you very much. And as our head of sector said, we are here to provide you any additional information that you may need. Thank you very much. Ευχαριστώ.
Και Ελένη, Ανδρέα, σε ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ για την παρουσίασή σας. Μπορούμε τώρα να περάσουμε στις παρουσιάσεις των program managers. Now we can go and start sharing the presentations from the program managers. I would like to welcome Orsolia to the floor. Nice to have you with us, Orsolia.
Pleasure is all mine. Now I will try to share my presentation. Just a second.
Yes.
Okay. I hope you can now see this almost in full screen. In full screen?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I can no longer see the audience. So in case there is anything, please do let me know because I can only see the presentation. But it's a real pleasure to give you a very brief run through of the EIC Pathfinder Challenge on Biotechnology for Healthy Aging. I will recap very briefly what you've already heard in detail, but I think there's no harm in reiterating. Just as a reminder, we are talking about an EIC Pathfinder Challenge, which is a little bit different from the EIC Pathfinder Open Calls, primarily in the sense that it is, of course, sort of in a thematic area, and in this case, it will be centered on aging. And as you've heard in detail before, there are also differences in terms of applicants and evaluation process, which I'll very briefly refer to later in the presentation. But just to highlight that it is different, and it's important to remember. I also saw in the survey at the beginning that, of course, many of you are new to the EIC and EIC challenges. So I just wanted to highlight this as well. And this was already referred to by Andreas and Eleni, that we have various supporting documents. And I really, really want to emphasize this, that in the case of challenges, there's two. So the first one being the work program itself, which contains the challenge text. But the other one is the challenge guide, and that's really complementary to the work program, especially when it comes to the so-called portfolio activities. It also has a sample work package for the portfolio activities. So if you're considering applying to the challenge, please do make sure to use both of these reference documents. And so given that we don't have a lot of time, what I will do is really just talk you through sort of why we are doing this challenge, what are the core elements of it, highlighting that we had a full hour info session earlier this year, and I'll be sharing links to that presentation. It's recorded, where we really spend a lot of time going through each element of the challenge. So this is here mainly just to sort of give you a sense of direction, what this challenge is about. And it's really centered on this observation that the EU and, of course, globally, we have an overall aging society. And this is important because, of course, many diseases are age-related, meaning that as you grow older, you're more likely to get sick. And moreover, you're more likely to have not only one disease, but often more than one disease. And right now, our healthcare systems are really not laid out to deal with it, because we typically treat each disease individually, meaning that as you grow older, you're often sort of treated individually for those many diseases. And that's really interesting, because actually over the last couple of decades, we've begun to understand that aging itself is a regulated process, and we know many of the molecular and cellular processes that contribute to this. They're often referred to as the so-called hallmarks of aging. There have been several landmark papers describing what those processes are, and in fact, the community is still discussing whether we've discovered all the key pathways or if there are additional ones that are contributing and or what their relationship is. But for us and for the purpose of the challenge, this is really interesting, because of course, understanding what these processes are means that hypothetically, you could actually design interventions that address these hallmarks of aging and thereby contribute to delaying or maybe even reversing age-associated disease, not by treating diseases one by one, but by really treating the root cause of aging itself. And this idea has, of course, been around, but what we've seen is that there's been a low success rate for really getting clinical translation of the work that has been done discovering these pathways. And there can be multiple reasons for this. For example, potentially difficulty in translating approaches from often invertebrate model systems. But also, I think it's important to consider that, of course, aging itself is a normal process of life. And so it's really important that when we consider developing potential interventions, that we consider how to do this in a socially responsible and accepted manner. And also that we understand when is the right time to intervene, i.e., how could we set up a system that is also equitable and make sure that we only treat people when it is adequate to treat. And so all of these different elements have contributed to designing this challenge on biotechnology for healthy aging, which scientifically is centered around 3 areas, meaning that what we're asking applicants to do is to develop a proof of concept in one and only one of the following 3 areas. So the first one is an innovative, preventative, or therapeutic biotechnology-based or pharmaceutical intervention that prevents, delays, or reverts the onset of a specific age-related disease. We mention here a specific age-related disease because of that conundrum I reported before, that aging, of course, itself is not a disease. And so if you wanted to develop an intervention, you'd have to focus and start with one specific disease. But actually, if you look into the core criteria, you'll see that we also ask that you demonstrate generalizability of that intervention to another disease. Then the second pillar, potential pillar, is to develop a biomarker-based tool to enable the responsible deployment of aging-related interventions. So really to understand when is the right time to intervene, and is that intervention really functioning? And the third scientific pillar that applicants can address is a new approach methodology, or NAM, that goes beyond the current state of the art to enable the future development of interventions for healthy aging. And so if you look at the work program, or if you look at the longer presentation of the info session, what you'll see is that each of these 3 objectives is described in detail, and that includes both scientific criteria and criteria related to the further development of the technology. And that is really important because, as Andreas showed you on that sort of metro line, you know, we really see the EIC as a journey. And so this Pathfinder challenge ideally should provide successful proposals with sort of the first step in the EIC journey, so that if you successfully complete an EIC proposal under this challenge in Pathfinder, you should then be ready to apply for an EIC transition next. And therefore, we've really gone into a lot of effort to really design clear milestones of what we'd expect you to achieve in this challenge to be able to be ready to apply for a transition application. In addition to the scientific core elements that I've just presented, of course, there is also portfolio work. So you heard before that we can really consider sort of this portfolio approach and hands-on portfolio management when we think about the challenges. And so what we'd like to see is that there will be sort of a shared objectives and opportunities will be exploited by the selected projects, and these can relate to scientific collaborations, but also to map and address, for example, path to market opportunities. So, for example, how do you design clinical trials in this space? What would reimbursement look like? But also societal aspects. For example, what would the public be interested and willing to accept in terms of aging-related interventions? What are their concerns? And so it's really important to keep in mind that this portfolio work really is embedded as part of the challenge. We recommend that you have a work package for portfolio work in your proposal, and that's described in detail in the challenge guide. And so, as Eleni's really nicely walked you through, the selection will take into consideration both the individual proposal score and the portfolio considerations. So maybe just visualizing this really briefly, this is what the challenge looks like. So applicants can apply in one of these technical pillars. And then in top of that, sort of you have various areas of collaboration at the portfolio level. So these can be scientific, the sort of arrows, or broadly outreach and communication, market deployment considerations, or ethical and societal considerations. But they are critical elements of each proposal. And you can see this also if you then look at the expected outcomes and impact of the challenge, where, of course, what we're hoping for is proof of concepts established either in the interventions or in the biomarkers and new approach methodologies, but also new approaches to address the shared regulatory hurdles and societal challenges linked to aging-related interventions. And then more long-term, also, again, we're looking for to deliver impact for biotechnology-based interventions for healthy aging, and to generally accelerate the implementation for personalized care in aging, but also to provide recommendations for regulatory pathways, and of course, improving citizen literacy for longevity. So you can see that also in the outcomes and interventions, these portfolio considerations are deeply embedded. So maybe just to briefly wrap up, you know, I've given you the highlights of the challenge. I've also talked about how important the portfolio considerations are. If this still seems really sort of high level and you'd like to understand the portfolio approach a little bit more, what I would recommend is to take a look at some of our existing portfolios, because we do actually every year publish an annual report of the work that is done by the portfolios we already have. So that gives you a little bit of a sense of what that work is that is carried out. I also would just like to highlight that, you know, as you're putting together, or if you are thinking about putting together a proposal, to really think about the implementation. So we are a translational funding program, so it's really important to think about that technology that you want to develop, where you want to develop a proof of concept. how will that be used in the future as a potential product? Sort of what is that really innovation going to be? But to also think about and what sort of, because you understand what that technology is going to be, you know, what do you need to put in place to demonstrate that that's successful? But then also in terms of implementation, to really think about what does it take to have a successful project? Who are the right contributors to a consortium? And I highlight this also because we are looking for consortia that can also address these different portfolio considerations. So for example, you know, do you have someone on your team who can sort of help you think along how to for example, validate your technology as needed, or think about the ethical considerations. I would also highlight that because we are in the realm of aging, if you read the challenge guide, we actually make a concrete recommendation that the duration of the project should be 5 years. We do this for 2 reasons. One is that having all projects of the same duration in a portfolio is very useful to allow synchronization of the activities. The other reason is actually that in aging, and you'll see that some of the scientific pillars, we actually ask for benchmarking and validation against vertebrate animal models. We know that experiments can take time. So 5 years, we think, is likely going to be necessary to really make sure that you can achieve all the goals that you need to hit to be eligible for transition application next. And in case you're concerned, because you've heard sort of this number of 4 million for Pathfinder, please do bear in mind that that's a recommended amount, and you can deviate from the 4 million as long as you can justify why you need more than 4 million. So of course that does need to be justified, but if you're sort of working your way through a 5-year project and realize that 4 million is not enough, you can request more. And finally, I just wanted to show this in terms of resources. So first of all, you have here links to the info day that we held earlier this year. I think this is also relevant because, as you heard in the previous presentations, you do apply with consortia, and in case you're looking for potential partners, it might also be useful to look at the pitches that we had at the time. And of course, we wouldn't be here if you didn't have an amazing national contact point already. But just a reminder that they are, of course, also there to help you with finding partners as needed. And with that, I would stop.
Thank you so much, Orsolia, for your very, very nice and detailed presentation. And now let's move to the next presentation from Paolo Bondavalli. Paolo? I cannot hear Paolo. Maybe.
I'm sharing. I'm sharing.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I'm sharing. Tech. I think this one is good. Okay, share. Okay. Do you see it?
So we can see it now in full screen. Thank you.
It's okay. Okay. So good morning. So I'm here to present the new challenge on advanced materials. So I'm Paolo Bondavalli. I'm program manager on advanced material for energy. So the title of the challenge is Advanced Material for Miniaturized Energy Harvesting Systems. This is the outline. So firstly, I would like to talk about the background about the call. So actually, if we consider IoT, we can see the IoT are everywhere in our society. For example, to implement smart cities, energy engagement, wearable, home appliance, agriculture, cars, and so on. Actually, to implement IoT in our society, we need to have more sensors, considering that the sensors are the eyes of the IoT. Usually for each sensor, for each IoT, we have to implement around 20 sensors. A typical example of IoT is our phone. and also our mobile phone. And you can see that we have around 20 sensors that is associated to a normal mobile phone. Actually, the question is that if we consider the present situation, we have in 2025 110 billion of IoT, and around in 2027 we will reach 10 trillion of sensors connected to IoT. Now the question is, if we want to plug all the IoT to the global energy production system, actually by 2040, we will use all the electricity produced only for IoT. It is clear that so it is not sustainable and it's not suitable. But the question is that you can say, yeah, actually, considering that we are dealing with IoT, we can use batteries. But the problem is not solved, considering that if we do that by 2027, we will have to change around 80 million of battery each day, if you want to have, I could say, autonomous system of IoT that can have that are not plugged to the I could say to the grids, and so this is clearly not suitable. Also, is not sustainable. Also from the point of view of the recyclability of 80 million of battery each day. So what we have to do, you have to find a way to reduce the energy consumption, and this actually developing new advanced material that will allow to implement highly efficient miniaturized energy harvesting system that will be able to grab the energy from the environment. And so we won't need to use battery, and we won't need to plug them to the grid. Now, the specific objective of the challenge are, firstly, the identification, development of innovative advanced material for energy harvesting, harnessing new physical chemical phenomena. I would like to stress that, considering that we are talking about a Pathfinder, so we are talking about TRL from 1 to 4. So we are also looking first for new solution, new idea, new shift in the paradigm, not only solution that already we know. And we are also taking into account that the reduction of critical raw material is an important factor. Secondly, this material will be implemented in miniaturized energy harvesting module. So indeed, we will develop a material. Remember, the core of a challenge is material and not the system. So you need to develop advanced material. When you develop advanced material that have properties that allow to increase the energy harvesting, after that we will have a module, and this module needs to be integrated in a system that already exists, and to demonstrate that indeed these materials are able to provide energy to the systems. The system that are in our case, yeah, we are completely agnostic about the application. Actually, completely agnostic. At the end of the day, we need to perform a benchmarking of the harvesting module in a representative use case in a laboratory environment. So you have to demonstrate a TRL of 4 of this module that are able to could say grab energy from the environment and to deliver this energy to an existing system. So we don't ask to develop a system, we ask to develop materials in this call. Expected outcome, so first identify new generation advanced material for miniaturized energy harvesting module, and to achieve a TRL4 for the module that we will develop. The expected outcome, firstly, to unveil new physical and potential paradigm shift, considering that we are talking about a very early stage project. We are talking about a TRL1, so we are only stating the principle, and TRL4, which is the proof of not a proof of concept, but the test in the lab. I preconize to have project on with a during of 4 years, and with that have to reach a TRL4 in order to arrive at the end of the 4 years with the solid TRL4 that will allow them to move to the next step. Also, the other objective was to give a strong push on technology enhancing the performance in exploiting breakthrough. The social and economical impact is very, I could say, transversal, considering that this autonomous system can be integrated in a lot of applications, going from wearable to sensor for cars, sensor for satellite, intelligent aircraft and monitoring, smart agriculture, also energy smart management, which is quite trendy now. Also IoT, as I was saying previous. So IoT, it was only an example to show that we need to have autonomous, I could say, devices, an autonomous system. The portfolio approach, in order to explain a little bit the portfolio approach, the main objective is to have 9, 10 projects that way we work together, and the impact of the synergy created between these different projects will be able to allow us to have an impact which will be, I could say, larger than the impact of each single project added. Two main axes of collaboration are to share insight on integration step, and also to develop new solutions that can be integrated where we have different energy harvesting solutions that can be integrated together in order to recover more energy. Actually, this is two simple potential axes of collaboration between the different projects. The project will be classified in 3 categories. In one, the phenomena that are being exploited to harvest energy from environment. Second, the composition of advanced material. And third, the field of application. So each project will be asked to fill this template. At the end of the day, only 2 projects with the same phenomena, only 2 projects with the same advanced material, or only the project with the only 2 projects with the same field of application will be chosen in order to be able to perform a real benchmarking of a different solution developed. So I'm not in order also to avoid to have, for example, 10 projects on solar cell, 10 projects on thermoelectrics, and so on. The working group will be mainly 4, one on technology science, considering that is a Pathfinder, and so we need a space for scientists to talk each other and also to perform brainstorming and to identify new solutions. One on regulatory issue, one on transition of technology to innovation, and one on communication, dissemination, and outreach activities. Concerning the ecosystem maturity at the level, this is not an exhaustive list, this is only a representative list. So mainly I think that the community of advanced material will be clearly involved in this project. Also, the community of theoretical, of people working on computational method to develop material can be involved, considering that these tools can allow to accelerate the development of new material. After that, innovative SME in the field of energy harvesting, which is clear, and also large company, but in any case, to have an innovative SME on a large company, better to have SME, will be very important in order to have from the very beginning a list of requirements that need to be filled in order to obtain at the end of the 4 years something that can be implemented also to move to the next step, which is the transition. Considered as the Pathfinder need to be conceived only as the first step of the path moving from research to innovation to scale up. Time to impact, so I think that 5-10 years can be, I could say, realistic. It depends of the solution that is provided, actually. And the good project, from my point of view, is a project with a technology that is a real tangible breakthrough. A project with a clear and concrete potential advantages compared to existing solutions. So where the positioning is very well defined, the fundamental science is important, but the innovation at the mid-long term needs to be pointed out and justified. So we are asking to the researcher to think which could be the impact at mid-long term on society of their ideas, but only to have a broad idea, I could say, aligned with potential market. A bad project is a project with the KPI are not clearly identified, the objectives are too broad, the potential applications are not clear, the implementation is not convincingly addressed, the advantages compared to existing solutions are not clear, so the positioning is not clear. The deadline is 28th of October, and that's all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Paolo, for your presentation. I think it was quite informative. And now let's move to the last presentation from Hedy Carré. Hedy, thank you so much for being with us today.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can see the screen
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
perfectly. All right, so I'm Hedy Carré. I'm the program manager for artificial intelligence at the EIC, and I'm glad today to present a DeepRap Pathfinder challenge for deep reasoning, abstraction, and planning towards trustworthy cognitive AI systems. So I will start with, let's say, some context to explain from where this challenge was, let's say, designed. So, as AI is not at all a new topic, it's a historical topic that is, let's say, driving innovation since several decades, let's say that. The AI innovation directions that we have designed are different, let's say, pathways that should go hand by hand. The first one is empowering AI, means that building capabilities and optimize resources to make AI more powerful. When we talk about AI, it could be virtual or physical AI agents. So empowering AI should be under responsible principles. That's why we need also in the same time to innovate in terms of assessing, monitoring, controlling, and even fighting AI. So the first aim of making AI more powerful should not make us forget about the responsibility around AI. And then also that will allow to drive applications in different areas in order to generate social and economical value. So this is our vision in terms how we draw AI innovation in that era. So starting from that, and then also starting from the current state of the research in terms of exploring the intelligence, because when we talk about artificial intelligence, we are talking also like about being inspired from the natural intelligence. So in a recent study last year, it was published this paper, and there is a mapping between the brain functionalities and the state of research in artificial intelligence, because while we are not looking in that research to copy the brain, we talk about the functionalities like learning, reasoning, the natural language processing, all of those functionalities that a brain has, they are mapped to what artificial intelligence try to develop in terms of functionalities and capabilities of those AI systems. And as you can see, there is a lot of capabilities and functionalities that already very well explored in the research area, like learning, like natural language processing, and all those, like, I mean, what we, the visual perception, for example. So all those AI systems that we are using today, they are like the result of long explorations on that functionalities. But also those functionalities could be the enabler to expand this research and explore other functionalities that's still not very well explored in research, like the cognitive capabilities, the planning, the memory, and other, let's say, attention and self-learning, and all of those let's say, functionalities that are not very well explored. So our objective is to focus on those functionalities. And then, like, as I said, more cognitive capabilities inspired from the brain capabilities. So we are interested on the awareness and the consciousness, and we already had a challenge on that topic previously. And then other capabilities like the reasoning, the planning, the common sense, the creativity, and so on. So this is what we would like to go and to explore in the different challenges that the EIC is designing. So starting from that, and then also from what is the projection in terms of deployment of the upcoming years in terms of AI. So if we have a look on the story and the evolution of the breakthroughs of AI, we can see that we are moving from more like, traditional AI approaches like symbolic or neural AI to more neurosymbolic AI, making hybridations and new architectures in order to go forward, because we are looking for the future. So today we have those agentic AI systems, so with mass deployment today, and it will be more and more for the upcoming couple of years. But while we are expecting that in a short time, because let's say the breakthrough cycles for AI systems is reduced this couple, let's say, of decades from long deep tech phase to shorten cycles of 3 to 5 years. So we are expecting more cognitive AI systems that will appear in order to be deployed on the virtual and the physical spaces. So starting from that, we have proposed DeepRap challenge that is aiming to go beyond the current limitations of generative AI systems, because intelligence is not only language. So we would like to move beyond also traditional, let's say, approaches like symbolic and connections approaches to develop new systems, new architectures that, let's say, human-like in terms of functionalities and cognitive capabilities. So we would like that through this challenge, we develop new functionalities that are inspired from the natural intelligence. So that's why we would like to unlock the next generation of AI in terms of deep reasoning, abstraction, and planning. Means that we bridge the cognitive gap that is the current state of the AI systems of today, and go beyond the deep learning in terms of beyond the transformers, let's say, in terms of architectures and also in terms of functionalities, in terms of also how can be inspired from other domains like neuroscience, philosophy, physics, and all of that, let's say, domains that could also contribute to design these new architectures. So we are looking for more capabilities in terms of dealing with massive knowledge and then also in terms of addressing decidability, computational challenges, and also have multimodality in terms of reasoning. It's not only language, as I said, and then also structured and unstructured reasoning, working on word models, and then also having this capability to adapt and have flexibility in terms of planning, in terms of decision making, and so on. And then also especially within resource constrained computing, means like we are looking for more frugal AI architectures. So the DeepRap would like to move, as I said, between the statistical patterns matching to support more causal inference, logical reasoning, context-aware, common sense, especially in unstructured environments. The deep abstraction is more to have abilities to generalize insights from limited data by forming and also manipulating high-level concepts, analogies, and then also representations that can be transferred from domain to another. So those capabilities of abstraction that are very important for having more powerful AI system. And then in terms of planning, developing more robust and adaptive planning on the long term in open world, and tackling the uncertainty in real-time environments. I will skip this. This is again, like we are citing the same examples of what we are looking in terms of reasoning, abstraction, and planning. And to highlight what we are looking for is not necessary to deal with the three capabilities. So proposals are expected to at least address one of them. And my suggestion is to focus, is not to go through all the capabilities and then have a weak proposal. I would prefer to focus and have a real breakthrough, a real new direction to explore one of the capabilities than dealing with everything and then without real breakthrough. That doesn't impose that to not go like for the three. Is up to the applicant to evaluate if they are able and it is feasible to deal with 2 or 3 capabilities. In terms of expected breakthrough, what we are looking for is, as I said, new models and architectures that are handling multimodal and data and knowledge with constrained computational resources. We also emphasize on the trustworthiness mechanisms, ensuring explainability, transparency, fairness, and security. We are also expecting to reach a cognitive AI system at the TRL level by the end of the project and necessarily compliance with the ethical and legal standards like the AI Act. Also, we are looking for new methods and metrics for evaluating reasoning and trustworthiness, and then also more collaboration with other European initiatives. So in terms of portfolio composition, so it will be, let's say, designed and shaped according the 3 categories. So proposals that are like, addressing those cognitive function capabilities means like the portfolio, the project that we will select, they will cover the 3 capabilities. Means like we will not have, let's say, if we select 8 projects, so not the 8 projects will be on reasoning, or not all the 8 will be on abstraction. So we try to cover, and the portfolio will cover the 3 capabilities. In terms of technological approach, also we are looking for variety. So where we will select, we will ensure that in the portfolio there is different approaches are explored in those proposals, in the portfolio. And then also in terms of use case and application domains that will come later, also in terms of which areas and which applications they are covered in the portfolio. So we are looking for diversity. As example here, like not all the 8 projects, if we will select 8, will be like covering health or mobility. So we would like to have a diversity on that aspect. And then the 4th category is the ability to contribute to the synergy aspects in terms that there is complementarity between the projects, in terms of, let's say, contributing to develop benchmark, to do integration, and then joint pilots and demonstrations and so on. Like the ability of, for example, a proposal working on abstraction to work with planning and reasoning and create bridges in order to have a common demonstrator later. So what we suggest that you integrate such table in your proposal in order to well situate your novelty and your proposal. Means like, okay, we are focusing on deep reasoning, we are using like neurosymbolic AI, we are applying in industry, and we will contribute in terms of benchmark. So that's allowed to well situate your project according to the criteria that we are using to build the portfolio. Here you have an example of one of the running portfolios that we have awareness inside. It was a challenge we have launched before, and projects are running and almost finishing. So you can have a look on what we expect in terms of portfolio activities and so on. So you can find the different reports of the portfolio work. And then most important, and last thing to to remind is the challenge guide. The challenge guide is your, reference document when you are preparing your proposal. So I will suggest you to read this document few times before submitting, and then during all this period till the deadline, end of October, in order to be sure that you are aligned to the challenge guide and that you are going to the point. So that's all from my side, and happy to answer questions if any. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hedy. Thank you so much for this very, very interesting presentation and informative for our applicants. And thank you all once again for giving us all this information today. And I'm very happy that we see some questions in the Q&A section. Let's start taking the questions, if that's okay with you. So we have a first question. It's a bit general. Could a project focus on upskilling construction professionals through an internationally recognized education and certification program with the objective of supporting the digital transformation of the construction sector and the adoption of open standards be eligible under these funding opportunities? I think, Andreas, νομίζω ότι αυτή η ερώτηση δεν είναι τόσο σχετική με τα challenges, έτσι?
Yes, but we can answer that this would be a proposal for an open call, but the open call has already closed this year.
Yes. So maybe yeah. Yes.
Exactly. So maybe for next year for an open call. Yeah.
It's good to be prepared, I think.
Yeah.
So is there currently an open call dedicated exclusively to numerical analysis? How can we apply? No, there isn't. I don't know if numerical analysis.
Not in the EIC, at least.
No,
And
not in the
numerical
EIC.
analysis, I mean, you just have to see not only the topic, but the spirit and the DNA of the EIC, which is deep tech.
Exactly.
Here we speak about challenges. It is not only a matter of, let's say, is there any open call for numerical analysis or for, I don't know, speech learning, but you have to see really at which level is your technology and what you want to achieve with this technology. Then if it is not in a challenge, it will be in an open. But then you have to see again if it will be a Pathfinder, a transition, or an accelerator. I'm always speaking about the EIC program, right? And then the whole framework program is a whole world. You will have to go to europa.eu and to see really what is, if you put your keyword to see what are the calls that are open now and next year. We don't know yet what will be next year, but follow this very carefully in europa.eu.
Thank you. So there is a next question. Is it realistic for a startup to apply as a single legal entity? Can you tell us if in the past single entities were awarded the grant and if they were companies or were they universities?
Eleni, one single, yes, it's possible.
It's possible. Yeah. According to the rules, you are eligible as a single entity, even from the public sector as SME to apply. I realize that your question is, you are seeking for the possibility that you are successful. Of course, this cannot be, let's say, explained in this session today because it's up to your capacity, your proposal, if you feel the objectives. There are a lot of things to be considered. But regarding your question, if we have successful proposals with one entity, yes, we have. This is, the answer is yes. But of course, to consider your case, this is up to several parameters and of course up to evaluators to evaluate your proposal and the budget analysis and your potential, your capacity, etc. But it's possible. You're eligible.
Perfect. Thank you. So, is there a typical duration for such projects?
If there is what?
A typical duration for projects in the EIC Pathfinder challenges?
Not exactly, a particular duration that you have to respect. We have projects with a duration of 2 years, 3 years, or even more. But of course, you need to justify the duration according to your foreseen activities in the proposal and the expected results and milestones of the proposal.
Yes, and just to add, as the program managers mentioned in the challenge guide, it is mentioned what is the duration recommended, or if there is a specific duration recommended, as Orsolia mentioned earlier, for the second challenge. So yeah, look at the work program, but also at the challenge guide.
Exactly. Thank you. Next question. In how much detail should we describe in EIC Pathfinder challenges the market, since this is still a Pathfinder call with early tier stages? Again, I think this is more general.
Eleni?
Well, I would say that yes, this is generic. It depends on what you would like to let's say, to demonstrate with your proposal to convince the evaluators. I don't know if the program managers would like to add here details for each challenge respectively on that point, because it depends also on the topic, on the matureness of the topic. You know, it's up to the applicants how they organize their proposal, how much details they put there, etc. Of course, there are particular, work packages they have to refer to, and activities included there. So it's up to you to decide. But this is again very closely related to the challenge guide, to the expected outcomes and the objectives of each challenge. I see Orsi has raised her hand.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe I can sort of partially address this from the perspective of the biotechnology for healthy aging challenge, because there, obviously this is a low TRL Pathfinder challenge. Having said that, we see it as a first step on that path from Pathfinder to transition to Accelerator, and for example, to establish your proof of concept, which is the end point of your Pathfinder challenge. You of course need to know sort of what is the direction you plan on taking. And so, for example, in the new approach methodologies part of the aging challenge, a NAM could be used in different settings. But depending on what setting you're planning to use, you'll have to perform different types of validation. So you do already need to understand a little bit what direction you're planning to take to be able to carry out the technical work that you are proposing. So we don't necessarily expect that you have a full-blown market analysis, but there is an expectation, at least in the biotechnology for healthy aging challenge, that you have a sense of direction and that you can sort of explain this in your proposal to explain why you're proposing the scientific activities that you are.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Orsi. I think let's move on to the next question. I think we already gave a good example of this. Can you please share indicative portfolio activities that we should include? I don't know
What
if this
does
is
it mean, indicative portfolio activities? Yes.
I think in my presentation, I have mentioned some of them.
Yes.
Okay,
And
great.
then also there is like the portfolio activities report that also I show that you can have a look on to to understand what activities are done in the portfolio and what you are looking for.
Perfect. Thank you.
And of course, you can go to the challenge guide. You can see a lot of elements there.
Perfect. There is now another question. I can actually summarize it a bit about from Mr. Leodios Hadjileodiadis, who is saying that right now with the 0.5 point resolution in the scoring process, under the current system, a proposal with a very minor comment that might merit a 4.9 is treated the same as one with a more substantial minor comment. And since they end up being marked 4.5, then when they do not qualify for a 5 due to the presence of comments. And maybe a final resolution with a 0.1 increment would be a better scoring to reflect the actual differences between proposals. Andreas, I don't know if you want to comment on that.
I can comment from what I have seen last year, and Eleni can can add, don't forget that in the Pathfinder challenges, the final decision comes to the panel, where with the coordination under the leadership of the program manager, the proposals are ranked based on their quality, for sure, but mainly based on their complementarity and, let's say, synergies between the proposals to achieve the portfolio considerations. So the 0.5, the 0.3, the 0.2 are somehow not so important in this discussion, because proposal will be ranked by the program managers and the panel based on their complementarity synergies and, let's say, how well they address the whole challenge guide to build the portfolio. So this is my opinion. Of course, there is always in the commission evaluation this possible error of 0.2, 0.3, 0.5, but this matters much less in the challenges selection. Colleagues, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my answer. Eleni, program manager.
What I can add from my side is, first of all, that we have also examples of this case, meaning a proposal with lower ranking, finally to be included in the portfolio. That was an example from the last year call. So these things are happening because, as Andreas and the program manager said, it's not only the scores number that matters, but also the portfolio considerations. I would really encourage you to pay attention to that. It's not only about writing a very good proposal, it's also about respecting and serving, let's say, the objectives and the expected outcomes of each challenge. So this is the portfolio considerations. And another thing I would like to add from my side regarding the scoring, it's as I presented earlier, it's not only the three evaluators that we have as external experts. They have also to reach the consensus, and then the evaluation committee with a program manager can make several adjustments to the scores. So it's not only, let's say, once that someone has to put the score there, we check and we try to be very, let's say, careful, not us, the evaluators, with the final numbers that they put on scoring. But again, the portfolio considerations are very, very, very significant for the final list of the proposals to be funded.
Great. Thank you so much, Eleni. I know that now that we don't have a lot of time, so I think we should pick some questions from its challenges and then move on with the rest of our program. I see some questions about Orsolia. In the guide, it is mentioned that an innovative, preventive, or therapeutic biotech-based or pharmaceutical intervention can include small-scale interventional clinical studies. Do you mean in humans? And in how much detail we should describe them, and how can we include them in the implementation in order for the project not to be overly ambitious and be scored less?
Yeah, I can take that. So just to highlight, indeed, we referenced that it is possible but not mandatory to include these interventional studies. So we actually, what is absolutely critical is that the proof of concept is achieved by validating in a vertebrate animal model, and actually a regularly aged vertebrate model. So what we don't want is reversal of short-lived models, because, as you probably know, the community right now is debating whether the underlying mechanisms are the same. So the animal model is mandatory. However, the clinical study is optional. We've actually included it because we do know that in the aging community, a lot of researchers do work together with clinicians. So you can include it if you think that adds to your project and that this will be really important. But just to highlight, it is not a mandatory part, because of course we do understand that human studies Some clinical trials for sure are not expected. That would come at a later stage, but we do understand that clinical studies are sometimes used by the community to get an early sense of direction if a certain intervention would work.
Thank you so much, Orsi. And another question for you is, can the new approach methodology aspect explore reproductive aging only?
Yeah, so so maybe two aspects to this. So we don't specify in the call what the NAM is, or sort of what aging phenotype it should capture. We do, however, ask that it is a multi-tissue NAM. And the other aspect is that it captures more than one parameter of aging. So maybe just to clarify, that you don't just generate a liver organoid and measure P16. That would not be acceptable, but you could envision for reproductive aging a multi-tissue system where you measure multiple hallmarks of aging. So, if you fit, and I think this is something we do describe in detail in the NAMS challenge, all of the sub-criteria, then you have to follow the work program and the criteria outlined there. If you do fit that, then it is eligible according to the eligibility criteria. I would just maybe highlight for you to also consider that, of course, we also have the portfolio aspects where we will be looking for synergies with the other pillars. So, for example, reproductive aging is fully in scope of the challenge. So if potentially there will be an intervention or a biomarker-based approach also with reproductive aging, then that might increase the likelihood of being selected. So that's just also for you to understand that we will be taking into consideration also these portfolio aspects and synergies between the scientific pillars.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rosalia. I think now let's take two questions for Paolo. When the call says miniaturized, does that imply a specific dimensional target, example sub square cube centimeter sub square millimeters chip scale, or is it a qualitative goal related to today's state of the art for the application? And does miniaturized suppose a microfabrication lithography based route?
It is as a function of a state of the art.
Okay, great.
So
Yes, the call
because
language.
there are so many different devices that I cannot say that not all the phenomena can be implemented in the same dimension with the same dimension. So it's not possible.
Thank you. And now the second one, the call language points to a new generation of advanced materials. Does that mean the material itself must be genuinely novel or unreported, a new composition, a new nanostructure? Or can it mean applying an existing previously validated material system to a new function or a new integration concept for the first time?
No, they have to take into account the definition of advanced material, which is mentioned in the call. And it is written that advanced material are material that can, where we perform also an engineering that allow to implement new functionalities, or advanced material composed by new material. So there is two possibilities. They only have to write the definition which is in the call, and they have to pay attention to that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Paolo. And now I think one last question for Hedy. We submitted our proposal on EIC Advanced Innovation Challenge, but we didn't get funded because we were told that we have not described TRL status successfully. Can we apply to the DPRAP challenge to complete TRL 3 to TRL 4 activities? I think Hedy, this was the innovation challenge that was with physical AI. Am I correct?
Indeed. So, I mean, it depends to what you have in your proposal. So, if you are developing reasoning, abstraction, or planning in your proposal, yeah, you are welcome to submit. And it's not the same constraints of access regarding the Advanced Innovation Challenge that is requiring a letter of intent and engagement from the end user. So Pathfinder is different. So it's up to you to evaluate what is the content of your proposal in terms of technology, let's say, an approach and methodology of AI you are developing. And then also the objective to reach TRL4. This is part of the Pathfinder.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you all so much for this first session that I think was very successful. And you gave many hints and a lot of help to our applicants. So I want to thank the program managers and the EISMEA managers for their presence. Now we can move to the next part of our agenda. We took a little bit more time, but I think it was very important that we had all these amazing people here to cater to our needs, and to the researchers' needs. So now we will move to the presentation from Konstantinos Rokdakis. Νομίζω τώρα μπορώ να συνεχίσω λίγο στα ελληνικά. Κύριε Ροκδάκη, καλησπέρα σας. Συγγνώμη που καθυστερήσαμε. Ήταν όμως νομίζω αρκετά ενδιαφέροντα τα προηγούμενα θέματα, οπότε θέλαμε να δώσουμε όσο μπορούσαμε περισσότερο καλύτερα, ξέρετε, το χρόνο στους program managers να βοηθήσουν το ελληνικό κοινό. Αναμένουμε τώρα τη δική σας παρουσίαση ως beneficiary του EIC Pathfinder Challenge. Έχετε το Project Elegance.
Ωραία, ευχαριστώ πολύ. Μιλάω ελληνικά ή συνεχίζω αγγλικά, δεν ξέρω τα. Βλέπω τους
Ό,τι σας εξυπηρετεί εσάς καλύτερα.
Συνεχίσουμε, δεν μπορεί να είναι και...
Αγγλικά καλύτερα ίσως.
Ωραία, τέλειο.
Ευχαριστώ.
Να τον γράψω το λοιπόν. One second. Can you see my slides?
Yes, almost there for the full presentation.
Now it should be okay, right?
Yes. No.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think I have 15 minutes, right?
Yes.
So let's...
No.
Okay, I will try not to be very technical, although we were asked to present an overview of the project. So I don't know the background of the participants, so I will avoid many technical points. So as you said, okay, my name is Konstantinos Rokdakis. Together with Emmanuel Timakis from Hellenic Mediterranean University, who are the coordinators of the EIC project, Pathfinder project Elegance. So Elegance is one of the 9 projects funded 2 years ago, almost, within the Pathfinder Challenge on responsible electronics. We call it electronics community, let's say. So the focus of Elegance is to develop printable, flexible processing engines based on a novel oxide-based membristro technology. So the goal is to have a neuromorphic system that can process data at the Internet of Things edge. So this is the website of the project. We officially started almost 21 months ago, so we're at month 21. The total budget of the project is 5.1 billion euro. So at that time, although we submitted, let's say, the proposal at that time, having UK partners within the EU budget, so close to 4 million, but then we have some change. UK associate partner like Switzerland, so at the end we have around 3 million from EU contribution and the rest 1.2 from UK and from Switzerland. So these are the consortium partners. So most of the consortia are small, let's say, since the budget is limited to 4 million. In our case, we had 10 partners from 6 countries across Europe and also associate partners from UK and Switzerland. Okay, very briefly about the consortium structure. So just an advice, if you can give an advice, we try, in our case, we try to have partners with, let's say, a clear main role. And of course, at the second level, we have interactions and collaboration between the different partners for specific tasks. But each, let's say, partner has a main role that justifies the complementarity in the consortium and also the role in the project. So very briefly, HMU, of course, were coordinators. Also, we have expertise on developing 2D material-based inks and paste and integrate them in various printed devices. Concepts like solar cells and membristic devices, membristos. Partners from Uninova from Portugal, Professor Rodrigo Martins at the PI. They work on oxide-based membristos and transistors. Actually, within Elegance, we try to develop more sustainable technology, so avoid to use critical raw materials like indium, gallium, and develop a more, let's say, green or sustainable oxide technology for membristos and transistors. Rise from Sweden, the plan is to develop electrochromic materials, again, sustainable, with sustainable solvents. VTT from Finland offers state-of-the-art printing machinery, specifically reverse offset printing technology. So this state-of-the-art equipment can print features down to 1 micrometer resolution, which is, let's say, the best available, say, in Europe. So this will allow us to scale down the features of printing devices. NTUA from Athens, they participate on the modeling part and also on the membristic device development. ICN2 from Spain, together with HMU, we are going to develop perovskite-based, lead-free perovskite-based solar cells in membristos. We have a company, startup company from HMU on the energy management, say, development integration. University of Zurich for the neuromorphic architecture development modeling part. Temasol, which is a company with a focus on developing the eco-design approach. So eco-design, the SSBD framework, as it is required from EU now, is very important, and this activity is central to all the 9 funded projects. So the SSBD framework plus LCA and LCC. University of Cambridge, Professor Ferrari, to provide novel 2D material-based inks for transparent conductive electrodes and interconnections. And at the beginning, we have also pragmatic and industry from UK, but during the GA signing, we didn't find an agreement, so they quit the consortium, but we have access to the infrastructure of Pragmatic through the Euro practice. So actually the budget from Pragmatic was moved to Cambridge, and we have this money to access the Pragmatic infrastructure through Euro practice. Okay, very briefly about the concept. So as mentioned before from the project officers, the project managers, we follow the guide for the Responsible Electronics Pathfinder at that time. So we tried, most of the consortia did what we did. So we tried to cover as many as possible of the activities mentioned in the guide, but not, of course, all of them, but more than one. So we try to cover the whole value chain from materials, sustainable materials development, sustainable substrates development, plus sustainable manufacturing processes. So all the partners who are using printing technologies, we speak about low temperature processing. Maximum temperature is 150 degrees for the annealing process. So all this processing is compatible with flexible substrates and have a low environmental impact. We speak about inks that are, most of them are water-based, no chemical, harmful chemical or toxic solvents. So we try to address this responsible electronics concept as much as we can. So this is the final goal of Elegance, to develop a self-powered wearable device. We're going to have some solar modules, some supercaps, some peripheral sensors, IoT sensors and peripheral circuits. And the innovation part is here on the neuromorphic processing engine that will be based on oxide-based technology and more green, let's say, technology. So we cover the whole value chain. Also, we address, as I told you, the safe and sustainable by design framework. That was a requirement. We develop sustainable materials, low temperature processes, industrially compatible, and at some point we have to integrate the various units together and demonstrate use case demonstration at TRL4, like the other Pathfinder challenges, as a self-powered IoT system. And the plan is to implement some data processing based on the inputs from the sensors at the end, using this small crossbar array data processing capability. Okay, so some objectives. I don't want to spend a lot of time here, but as I told you, we have two main units. The first one is the oxide-based membristors that are based on zinc tin oxide material for transistors and membristors. And the second key component is the electrochromic pixels. So we're going to have a second layer of an array of pixels, electrochromic pixels, like the same we use in displays. And the goal is that with these pixels, we can control light intensity locally by changing the transmittance of the electrochromic pixels using electrical pulses. So we can have one global light source, a lamp, an LED, whatever, but we can switch on, switch off light locally using these electrochromic pixels that are on top of the memristive array. So our memristors are optoelectronic, so this means that we can control the resistance of the memristors by electric pulses, but also by light intensity. So this justifies the role why we need these electrochromic pixels on top to allow us to switch on, switch off light locally. Okay, I can skip these details from the electronics. This is taken from the guide of the electronics, responsible electronics challenge at that time. So based on the project manager, we had to focus on one or more than of these three, let's say, main activities: advanced electronic materials, advanced manufacturing processes, and also unconventional applications, including smart textiles. So we try to cover partially all of these pillars. This is the mission of electronics. As I told you, we have 9+1 projects running in parallel, and one central activity is the LCA and the eco-design activity across the 9+1 projects. So if I can show you, since I am also the working group leader, technical synergies between the consortia, so I have an overview of the 9 projects. Here we demonstrate the complementarity, let's say. I guess for the new Pathfinders challenges, a similar map will be built by the project managers. So they want to have like a puzzle here, complementary activities. So not to provide funding, let's say, for 10 projects in the same field. They want to build a portfolio. So like in the electronics, we have different projects. Some of them are focusing on data processing, neuromorphic sensors, some of them on displays, some on communication elements, electronics, some on sensors. The majority of the projects are working on printable technologies. Only one, the Halo-free Edge, is based on silicon-based microelectronics, and the rest are working on, let's say, solution-based processing activities. So each symbol here demonstrates the activities of the projects across these 6-7 main domains. Like we had before from the project managers, we have 4 working groups. Working group 1 is technical synergies. I'm the leader here. Working group 2 is on communication dissemination. Working group 3 on LCA, LCC. And working group 4, it is on exploitation strategies among the 9 projects that are participating in these returns. So I don't know if I have to spend more details here, but I wanted to give you a progress update of our project. So the last the first 2 years or 21 months. As I told you, we try to address the whole value chain. So we have a progress on 2D material-based inks development. materials and solvents, more sustainable, let's say non-toxic, from Uninova and from HMU. We also work on sustainable substrates. We try to develop some new membranes based on chitosan that are, say, biocompatible. Also develop transparent conductive electrodes based on these materials. Another point that I would like to mention here is that, at least for electronics, the manager at that time asked to develop transferable components. So in our case, although we have different components built and integrated together, for example, the electrochromic pixels or these TCs can be transferred to other consortia during the course of the electronics, but also after the electronics community will be finalized, we can target joint submission, proposal submission with partners from different consortia. So we believe this kind of components that we develop in elegance and other components from other system, other consortia can be combined together in a few years later and submit a follow-up proposal together. Okay, here we just develop this transparent conductive electrodes with quite low resistance and at the same time quite high transmittance. Also, partners from Innovat demonstrated some wood-based electronic devices, so they use wood as a substrate for the electronic units, so the transistors, oxide-based transistors. It was published in this very nice journal in the cover. On the side of memristors, partners use inkjet printing to develop zinc tin oxide and aluminum oxide thin film transistors. So, and then also demonstrated a neural network in reservoir computing architecture to demonstrate the operation of this kind of memristors that is fully printed using inkjet printer as an example. From the side of VTT, as I told you, they have this reverse offset printing technology with a resolution of 1 micrometer, that is the current state of the art available in Europe at least. So they demonstrate that they are able to print one transistor, one memristor configuration at a large scale using, let's say, industrial compatible processes. In continuation, the previous publication from Uninova also demonstrated this reservoir computing architecture and used devices to demonstrate the MNIST database recognition, pattern recognition implementation. On the side of the electrochromic pixels, as I told you, this is a pixel that is in transparent mode, and the same electrochromic pixel in a dark, let's say, non-transparent mode. So we can scale down the dimensions of these pixels, small windows, let's say, and then on the right you can see the transmittance level between the dark and transparent state, at least 60% of transmittance modulation across various wavelengths. So this suitable for us to be used and control the resistance of memristors that are below these electrochromic pixels. So we can have an extra degree of freedom on controlling the resistance of our memristor device. Also, in our project, we try to develop a model of this kind of devices and architectures. Colleagues from NTUA, they fabricated and published this work in nanoletters last year using silicon dioxide-based memristors and develop volatile and non-volatile memristors for synapses and also neuron emulation. Okay, I can skip these details. This is another application using this time 2D materials. It's a collaboration between NTUA and the University of Cambridge. The University of Cambridge provided MOS2 nanosheets, and then colleagues from NTUA fabricated two terminal devices and demonstrated neuron-like emulation using this kind of phototransistors. And it is controlled by light. So we speak about an optical neuron emulation using 2D materials. This work is from University of Zurich, Professor Givari group. They have started developing the architecture, the computational architecture that is quite novel, since we have devices that respond to light. So we speak about optoelectronic neurons and optoelectronic synapses. They have developed a tool for this kind of applications, and also both hardware and software suitable for this kind of applications. The last part is the eco-design approach. As I told you, this is very important activity for responsible electronics community. In our case, Temasol, the company from Switzerland, has organized many workshops and interactions between the experimental partners in order to understand and list what are the available materials, what are the materials to be used from us for the different units, and they help us to identify what is the best, the most, let's say, sustainable approach, which solvents to be avoided or other materials. They have organized all this in some sheets where partners fill information about the materials and processes, and at the end, they provide a score for the different category, for the different material, for the different unit, for the different processing step, and allow us to improve our manufacturing process and material composition in order to maximize the sustainability of our approach. Okay, and the final goal, of course, is to find a trade-off between performance and sustainability. So in this graph here on the left, you can see, of course, we would like to have as high as possible technical performance and at the same time achieve as high as possible sustainability. So ideally, we would like to cross this point here on the upper right. However, of course, we know that sustainability has a cost on performance. So silicon-based devices they have a higher performance but are less sustainable. On the other hand, solution-based processing devices, they could be more sustainable, but their performance should be optimized further in order to meet the demands of our application. So with this, I would like to thank you for your attention. If you want, you can send us an email or you can visit our website for more information. You can ask questions right now. Thank you.
Σας ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ, κύριε Δουδάκη, για την πολύ ενδιαφέρουσα ομιλία σας και ειδικά από το ρόλο του συντονιστή. Νομίζω ήταν πολύ σημαντικό που δώσατε αυτά τα tips και αυτές τις συμβουλές που μπορούν να καθοδηγήσουν τους applicants. Νομίζω ότι εδώ προς το παρόν δεν βλέπω κάποια ερώτηση, αλλά άμα έρθει κάποια στη συνέχεια μπορούμε να την αναφέρουμε έτσι συνοπτικά στο τέλος. Να δώσω τώρα το λόγο στον συνάδελφό μου, τον Γιάννη τον Κορτίδη, να σας πει σύντομα για τις υπηρεσίες των Εθνικών Σημείων Επαφής και πώς μπορείτε εσείς να εκμεταλλευτείτε αυτές τις υπηρεσίες που σας προσφέρουμε, καθώς έχετε ήδη αφιερώσει κάποιες ώρες να ακούτε για αυτές τις προτάσεις που θα μπορούσατε να συμμετάσχετε, μπορούσατε να κατεβάσετε στα EIC Pathfinder Challenges. Γιάννη, ο λόγος σε σένα.
Ακούγομαι, Χριστίνα?
Ναι, μια χαρά, ναι.
Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Έχουμε ξεπεράσει λίγο το χρόνο και γι' αυτό θα προσπαθήσω να είμαι όσο το δυνατόν πιο σύντομος. Δεν θα μπορούσαμε όμως να κλείσουμε αυτό το fruitful webinar που έχουμε κάνει χωρίς να συστήσουμε σε όσους από τους παρευρισκόμενους δεν έχουν ακούσει τίποτα για τα Εθνικά Σημεία Επαφής του Δικτύου ΠΡΑΞΗ και γενικότερα στην Ελλάδα, και να δούνε το ρόλο τους, το ρόλο και το σκοπό των Εθνικών Σημείων Επαφής σε όλο τον ορίζοντα Ευρώπη, αλλά πόσο περισσότερο για τα εργαλεία του EIC. Είμαι ο Γιάννης Κορτίδης, μέλος της ομάδας των Εθνικών Σημείων Επαφής του Δικτύου ΠΡΑΞΗ του Ιδρύματος Τεχνολογίας και Έρευνας. Όσοι το γνωρίζουμε, το Ίδρυμα Τεχνολογίας και Έρευνας είναι ένα από τα μεγαλύτερα ερευνητικά κέντρα της χώρας με διεθνή αναγνώριση και προσωπικό υψηλών δεξιοτήτων. Είναι ένας φορέας που εποπτεύεται από τη Γενική Γραμματεία Έρευνας και Τεχνολογίας, από το Υπουργείο Ανάπτυξης. Η έδρα του και η κεντρική του διοίκηση βρίσκεται στο Ηράκλειο της Κρήτης και αποτελείται από 10 ερευνητικά Ινστιτούτα. Ο ρόλος του δικτύου πράξη μοιράζεται σε τρεις κύριους πυλώνες. Ως Εθνικού Σημείου Επαφής, υποστήριξη των ερευνητών και των νεοφυών επιχειρήσεων αλλά και οργανισμών για τη συμμετοχή σε ευρωπαϊκά προγράμματα. Ο δεύτερος ρόλος, πολύ σημαντικός, λειτουργεί ως γραφείο μεταφοράς τεχνολογίας του Ιδρύματος, μεταφέροντας τεχνολογία και κάνοντας την αξιοποίηση και κατοχύρωση των ερευνητικών αποτελεσμάτων. Και ο τρίτος είναι η δικτύωση και η συνεργασία, συνδέοντας τις επιχειρήσεις με επενδυτές και ευρωπαϊκά δίκτυα συνεργασίας. Το δίκτυο πράξη με αυτούς τους τρεις ρόλους που έχει μια προϋπηρεσία άνω των 30 χρόνων και η φυσική μας παρουσία σε 7 πόλεις, όπως σε ολόκληρη τη χώρα, όπως φαίνεται και στον χάρτη δεξιά. Να μην αναφέρω τις πόλεις, τις βλέπετε. Και όλο αυτό το οικοσύστημα αποτελεί την εθνική υποδομή για την υποστήριξη της καινοτομίας και της μεταφοράς τεχνολογίας σε εθνικό και ευρωπαϊκό επίπεδο. Το δίκτυο πράξη ως Εθνικό Σημείο Επαφής έχει οριστεί για τα προγράμματα πλαίσιο για την έρευνα και την καινοτομία από το 1998, αποδεικνύεται και η μακρόχρονη προεπηρεσία μας. Η ανάθεση γίνεται στον οργανισμό αλλά και σε επίπεδο ατόμων, των ανθρώπων που αποτελούν τα Εθνικά Σημεία Επαφής μέσα στο δίκτυο πράξη. Τα Εθνικά Σημεία Επαφής επικοινωνούν με την Ευρωπαϊκή Επιτροπή. Αναθεματική περιοχή υπάρχει μια διαφορετική δομή, αλλά στα γενικά πλαίσια εμπλέκονται φορείς, directorates, journals, agencies, and NCP secretariat. Και τα Εθνικά Σημεία Επαφής συμμετέχουν στις αιτήσεις και πολλές φορές πιο συχνά και από ετήσιες συναντήσεις που διοργανώνει η Ευρωπαϊκή Επιτροπή με σκοπό τη διασφάλιση συνεχούς ενημέρωσης και αποτελεσματικού συντονισμού σε πανευρωπαϊκό επίπεδο των Εθνικών Σημείων Επαφής, προκειμένου να εξυπηρετήσουν τους δυνητικούς υποψηφίους ως το δυνατόν καλύτερα. Το θεσμικό πλαίσιο των Εθνικών Σημείων Επαφής καθορίζεται πάντοτε από την Ευρωπαϊκή Επιτροπή, από έναν οδηγό, ο οποίος αυτός οδηγός καθορίζει την καθοδήγηση των ετούντων για την επιλογή κατάλληλων θεματικών στον ορίζοντα Ευρώπη, καθορίζει τη συμβουλευτική για τις διοικητικές διαδικασίες και τα συμβατικά ζητήματα, την εκπαίδευση και υποστήριξη στη συγγραφή προτάσεων, διαθέτει έντυπα, οδηγίες και εγχειρίδια και καθορίζει και τον τρόπο με τον οποίο παρέχεται η υποστήριξη για την αναζήτηση εταίρων. Στην Ελλάδα την εποπτεία των Εθνικών Σημείων Επαφής έχει η Γενική Γραμματεία Έρευνας και Τεχνολογίας, Καινοτομία, ο παλιός τίτλος ήταν, και ορίζει τα άτομα που είναι τα Εθνικά Σημεία Επαφής και επιβλέπει την δραστηριότητά τους συνεχώς. Ο ρόλος των Εθνικών Σημείων Επαφής είναι η υποστήριξη του εθνικού οικοσυστήματος, ώστε να κατορθώσουμε να κάνουμε τη μεγιστοποίηση και τη βελτιστιοποίηση για τη συμμετοχή στον ορίζοντα Ευρώπη. Με βάση πάντοτε τη διαφάνεια, την αμεροληψία και την προσβασιμότητα στην πληροφορία για όλους. Οι υπηρεσίες αυτές των Εθνικών Σημείων Επαφής, τόσο και του δικτύου πράξη, ορίζονται σε τρεις κύριες ενότητες: την πληροφόρηση και την ενημέρωση, την συμβουλευτική και την υποστήριξη, τη δικτύωση και τα οικοσυστήματα. Επιμέρους, για την πληροφόρηση και την ενημέρωση, υποκατηγορίες προσφερόμενων υπηρεσιών είναι οι προσκλήσεις και η ενημέρωση για τα work programs, info days, webinars σαν το σημερινό και τη δημιουργία broker events, και την διάθεση επίσημων εγγράφων και templates. Όσον αφορά τη συμβουλευτική και την υποστήριξη, παρέχει υπηρεσίες ελέγχου επιλεξιμότητας και επιλογή κατάλληλου χρηματοδοτικού εργαλείου, καθοδήγηση της συγγραφής και του pre-screening των προτάσεων, υποστήριξη σε νομικά και χρηματοοικονομικά ζητήματα, καθώς και σε πληρωματική υποστήριξη. Για την τρίτη μεγάλη ενότητα, για τη δικτύωση και τα οικοσυστήματα, παρέχει την αναζήτηση συνεργατών, βοήθεια στις ευρωπαϊκές συνεργασίες, επαφή με Ευρωπαϊκή Επιτροπή και εθνικούς εκπροσώπους. Να σταθώ λίγο περισσότερο στην συμβουλευτική και την υποστήριξη και να την αναλύσω λίγο περισσότερο, πάντοτε σεβόμενος το χρόνο, και να αναφερθώ ότι όσον αφορά τον έλεγχο και την επιλεξιμότητα, και την επιλογή του κατάλληλου χρηματοδοτικού εργαλείου προσφέρουμε αξιολόγηση του προφίλ του φορέα και της εταιρείας και της επιλεξιμότητάς του, στρατηγική τοποθέτηση στα εργαλεία του EIC και όλα όσα υπάρχουν για το EIC ως τώρα, Pathfinder, Transition, Accelerator, Step, και φυσικά μια ανοιχτή συζήτηση ανάλυσης για το TRL και την αντιστοίχηση με το κατάλληλο εργαλείο. Όσον αφορά την καθοδήγηση της συγγραφής και για το pre-screening, γίνεται αξιολόγηση της ιδέας, της καινοτομίας, του ανταγωνιστικού πλεονεκτήματος, πραγματοποιούνται σχόλια στη δομή της πρότασης και συμμόρφωση με call text και templates, πραγματοποιείται πριν screening των proposals και των pitch deck που προετοιμάζουν οι υποψήφοι, καθώς και προετοιμασία στο επίπεδο του interview stage. Όσον αφορά την υποστήριξη σε νομικά και χρηματοοικονομικά ζητήματα, παρέχεται funding model και βασικοί κανόνες επιλεξιμότητας, καθώς και χρήσιμες πληροφορίες όσον αφορά το στήσιμο και την κατανόηση του Grant Agreement και τις υποχρεώσεις που έχουν οι υποψήφοι στην υλοποίησή του. Τέλος, στην συμπληρωματική υποστήριξη που παρέχεται από το Δίκτυο ΠΡΑΞΗ και τα Εθνικά Σημεία Επαφής, είναι η αναζήτηση των εταίρων και η διαμόρφωση των συνεργασιών στα πλαίσια συνεργειών, καθοδήγηση και συμπληρωματικά χρηματοδοτικά εργαλεία. Σήμερα, καθώς έχουμε το webinar για το EIC, τα Εθνικά Σημεία Επαφής, συγκεκριμένα για το EIC, πώς θα μπορούσαν να βοηθήσουν τους ενδιαφερόμενους. Μπορούν να λάβουν την επίσημη πληροφόρηση για όλα τα εργαλεία του EIC. Να λάβουν πληροφόρηση για την καθοδήγηση για την επιλογή του κατάλληλου χρηματοδοτικού εργαλείου και για το positioning που κατέχουν οι υποψήφοι σε TRL. Πρακτική υποστήριξη προετοιμασίας της πρότασης στη δομή, παρέχοντας templates, κάνοντας αξιολόγηση των κινδύνων στην υλοποίηση, καθοδήγηση για το business model και το exploitation and IP strategy, καθώς και για καθοδήγηση για το οικοσύστημα του EIC, όπως είναι οι coaches, οι επενδυτές, το business access services και events που πραγματοποιούνται είτε από εμάς είτε σε ευρωπαϊκό επίπεδο. Πότε είναι η καταλληλότερη στιγμή ένας υποψήφιος να επισκεφτεί τα Εθνικά Σημεία Επαφής εφόσον θέλει να υποβάλει σε ένα από τα εργαλεία του EIC? Εμείς συστήνουμε κατά τα πρώτα στάδια διαμόρφωσης της ιδέας και της τεχνολογίας. Καλό θα ήταν πριν ακόμα οριστικοποιηθεί στρατηγική συμμετοχή στα εργαλεία του EIC, έτσι ώστε να δούμε αν είναι το καταλληλότερο αυτό που στοχεύουν οι υποψήφοι, σε ποια οριμότητα βρίσκεται η τεχνολογία τους και προτού ακόμα στοχεύσουν σε συγκεκριμένες αγορές. Όταν υπάρχει ένα όριμο draft της πρότασης για να μπορέσουμε να κάνουμε ουσιαστικό σχολιασμό και πριν screening, και φυσικά όταν υπάρχουν συγκεκριμένα ερωτήματα σχετικά με την επιλεξιμότητα και τους κανόνες και τις διαδικασίες της υποβολής. Ανέφερα νωρίτερα ότι διαθέτουμε templates και guides. Σε αυτή τη διαφάνεια υπάρχουν 4 οδηγοί και templates που παρέχονται από το εργαλείο Access του EIC, όπου είναι ένα ευρωπαϊκό έργο των Εθνικών Σημείων Επαφής. Τα Εθνικά Σημεία Επαφής του Δικτύου ΠΡΑΞΗ συμμετέχουν. Σκοπό έχει την εκπαίδευση και ενίσχυση των ικανοτήτων των EIC NCPs, προκειμένου να παρέχουν πιο αποτελεσματική υποστήριξη σε ενδιαφερόμενους για τα εργαλεία του EIC. Αυτά μπορείτε να τα βρείτε είτε επισκεπτόμενοι την ιστοσελίδα που βρίσκεται στο δεξί μέρος της διαφάνειας, ή ακόμα και να επικοινωνήσετε μαζί μας, μπορούμε να σας τα παρέχουμε. Διοργανώνουμε events σαν το σημερινό και υπάρχουν πολλά κατά τη διάρκεια της χρονιάς. Κλείνοντας, να οπτικοποιήσω τους συνεργάτες που βρίσκονται στην ομάδα υποστήριξης των εργαλείων του EIC, Εθνικά Σημεία Επαφής του Δικτύου ΠΡΑΞΗ. Η γλυκύτατη host της ημερίδας μας, Μαρία Χιμονίδη, ο ομιλών, ο συνάδελφος Παναγιώτης Λεωνάκης και ο τεχνικός προϊστάμενος του Δικτύου ΠΡΑΞΗ, Κωνσταντίνος Δαδέκης. Ελπίζω να ήμουν σύντομος. Σας ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ για τον χρόνο σας.
Γιάννη, σε ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ για την παρουσίασή σου και που κατάφερες να αναδείξεις αυτό ουσιαστικά που μετράει για τους συμμετέχοντες, ότι μπορούμε να τους βοηθήσουμε πολύ συγκεκριμένα και πολύ ουσιαστικά κατά τη διάρκεια υποβολής και της πρότασής τους, αλλά και κατά τη διάρκεια του implementation του project αργότερα. Κάπου εδώ πέρα κλείνουμε για σήμερα. Θα ήθελα να σας ευχαριστήσω πάρα πολύ για την παρουσία σας, για την παρουσία σας σήμερα εδώ. Τους εξαιρετικούς ομιλητές που είχαμε από την EISMEA, και την κυρία Ελένη Χατζηγιάννη και τον κύριο Λιπέρη και τους program managers που μας δώσανε το χρόνο τους και μπορέσαν να απαντήσουν διαφωτιστικές ερωτήσεις για το ελληνικό κοινό. Τον κύριο Ρογδάκη από το ΕΛΜΕΠΑ ως συντονιστής πρότασης που μπόρεσε να μας δώσει τα δικά του tips. Το συνάδελφο τον Γιάννη τον Κορτίδη που μπόρεσε και αποκριστάλλωσε ακριβώς πώς μπορούμε να σας βοηθήσουμε. Μην ξεχνάτε ότι ακριβώς με τις διαδικασίες της δωρεάν προεπισκόπησης αλλά και άλλων εργαλείων που διαθέτουμε ως χώρα, όπως είναι, επειδή η Ελλάδα είναι μια χώρα widening, που σημαίνει ότι έχει access σε μια σειρά ακόμα δωρεάν δράσεων και εργαλείων, όπως το δωρεάν pre-screening από experts, προκειμένου να είσαστε ακόμα περισσότερο ανταγωνιστικοί στις προτάσεις σας. Άλλο ένα σημαντικό εργαλείο δηλαδή που παρέχεται από ένα άλλο έργο των NCP, το NCP Widera Net, αλλά αφορά τα EIC Pathfinder Challenges και μπορεί πραγματικά να κάνει τη διαφορά στην πρότασή σας, να τα έχετε όλα αυτά κατά νου. Κάπου εδώ πέρα θα κλείσουμε. Οι παρουσιάσεις καθώς και το βίντεο της εκδήλωσης θα είναι διαθέσιμα στις επόμενες 10 μέρες στο site του δικτύου ΠΡΑΞΗ. Σας ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ. Καλή σας συνέχεια.